What's going on? Here's my next video on how to draw poses. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Now I'm going to be drawing a few warm-up poses, and I'm going to end it off with the drawing of Yujiro Hanma's demon back. And right now I'm doing the usual method where I am forming the shapes and I'm focusing on the back. Now I chose these particular poses because I was focusing on the muscles, since Yujiro Hanma has that muscular back, so I'm getting kind of warmed up to getting the muscles straight in order to have everything put together when I'm doing that final picture. So right now I'm putting everything together. I'm getting all the shapes for the back area, and usually when I'm doing this, I'm always, like I mentioned before, use that blue, and I'm going into it. And by the time I use the blue, I'm more comfortable with adding pen after that, because I kind of, since I know these are more or less practice poses, so you can go in there and you can kind of do whatever with the pen. So right now I'm more confident to just go in there and just start just throwing shapes in and throwing in the body. And that's why I didn't put the arms all the way down, because I'm not really focused on the arms. I'm focusing more on the musculature of the back and the shoulders and the head. I added the head in there, but I wasn't going to at first, but I just threw it in there because I had a little extra time to throw it in there. Now right now for this one, I decided to go a little bit more out. I think I added everything in there except for that back foot. I didn't want to add the back foot in there. I kind of just want to leave it, focus on the front area as far as the arms, the arm in the background, and also the chest. So as you can see, when I add that line in, that center line, I curved it, because when you're looking at the body, you add the center line in, depending on how you place the center line and how the center line is positioned, you'll know where to place everything else. That's why I curved the line, because in the picture you see that the line is curved where the chest is, and it kind of tells you how the arm is going to move over. So right now I'm going off of that, and for this one I decided to go ahead and just throw the face in there, because I kind of just felt like putting the face in. I'm adding in the neckline for the areas and filling in the muscles for the arm. And since the arm is moving forward, you'll see the ball shape of the shoulder more, because this is moving forward. But when it's pulled back in that back arm, you'll see that the ball shape is kind of stretched back. It kind of makes it. That's why I add those lines on the chest. It's kind of like the tension as the shoulders are pulling back. It has that tension to it. Kind of like a punch running pose. Now for this one, this is the Yujiro Hanma's back. I know I've been getting a few requests to do this one, so I said let me go ahead and draw Yujiro Hanma's demon back. And if you haven't seen the show, you know that I guess when you reach that peak of martial arts, especially for the Hanma bloodline, and you get that little demon back, then that's when you kind of just at the next level. I mean, at least only with his offspring, the fighters like Baki and Jack Hanma. But I think Jack is the only one that didn't really get one. I think Baki did, but and for Yujiro Hanma's back, he has some extreme detail. I mean, you're adding in just the usual back anatomy, but then also there's a lot of other anatomy that's going on that's only for the fictional anatomy, like as far as, because he has this muscular back, but if you look at it, you'll see that the muscles in his back kind of forms the shape of a demon head. As far as you see, like the eyes on the bottom of the shoulder blades, and then you have like it look like he have abs on the bottom of his back. That kind of forms like the teeth or whatever, which is actually a pretty smart way for the artist that created this character to make something out of just muscles, since that's pretty much what the anime is all about, is like just how much muscles the character has. So right now I'm adding in details for the hair. Go through the inking stage. And for the hair, you know, you kind of just, I like to use brush pens with the hair because it's easier to kind of just go in there. You're doing the hair, and the brush pens get that thick to thin strokes with the ink. And you know that when you're when the hair is closer to the neck or to areas where there's something covering it, you know, there's more shadow there. That's why you see more shadow at the bottom of the hair and a little bit on the side of the hair, because those are where the arms are. And it'll form shadow depending on where the light is bouncing off. So I'm adding in his muscles, trying to match the reference. I'm looking at reference as I'm getting his muscles in, and I'm adding a few extra muscles in there to kind of give him that extra thickness when he's flexing. And his famous pose that he does with his arms up. More detail. And I'm going back in with the markers. As you see, I'm using that same method with the markers where I'm adding that first base layer. And usually whenever I'm using markers, you always mention, I always mention that I'm using the base layer first in all my pictures that I do. And it's kind of a way of figuring out and seeing where shadows would be. I mean, sometimes I may mess up, but I was kind of just go along with it, flow along with it, and just keep it going. Sometimes you'll mess up, but then it'll be a good mistake, and it's not easy to correct markers. I mean, it's easier to correct it when you're doing it digital, but markers, traditional art is usually the best for me. And I just get in there and just do it. I mean, I can do digital art too, but I prefer traditional. So I'm trying to lay on all the shadows in the arms. And usually whenever you see me adding shadows to muscles, and what I normally would do is I'll darken certain areas of the muscle, because you know, if the light is shining in one direction, don't shade the whole muscle. I mean, you can shade the whole muscle depending on the type of character it is. If it's like a darker character, you can do that also. But the majority of the time I like to shade pieces of it just to leave that white light in there, kind of give that way I won't have to use a white pen. I can just let the paper be the white. Now if you're using a darker piece of paper, then you can just cover it up and then use a white pen to cover that, make that white light area. So right now I'm going in with the darker shade, adding in more tones, and you'll just see me just layering it, and I've added as much layers as I want, but I didn't add as much to this one. I just added maybe like 2 or 3. And so I'm just adding in that dark area where the light hits, because light hits when it hits, it forms a kind of like a it's hard to say what it is, but it's kind of like it's almost like a cutout in a way. But like where the white light is, I'll always put not too dark, but a little bit of a darker tone on that edge where the light hits, to kind of give it that shine look. I'm just outlining it, because I usually always outline. I'll outline it sometimes with the pen or sometimes with the markers. It depends on how I feel with the situation. And I'm darkening up with the brush pen in certain areas. Give it a little more black where more shadow is hit. It's pretty complex back. But if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. All right, take care.